All right, and we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Pup is back in the Apex with the Apex of Apex cards, and we'll have many of these in the second half of 2024 and beyond, I'm sure. But headlined by Amanda Lemos and Virna Jandiroba, 5 rounds of those two we have all been waiting for. Yeah, let's just go ahead and go around and just see how everybody's doing off of last week. 2 cents, you drew the short straw to go first this week. How you doing?
It's a miracle, dude. I was in here first. I'm not fucking late to the stream, but nah, man, I'm great. It is always great to be back here. So first and foremost, thank you for having me. Shout out to you. What up, Lucky Locks? And shout out to the chat, man. Make sure y'all smash the like button for Aaron. And yeah, man, Aaron, this is definitely an Aaron the puppy dog. This is a Scrappy Doo card, but yeah, it's a card. There's some fights, and I can't wait to see what the Zhongli is. And yeah, I am excited to talk about them, as awesome as they are.
Yeah. We can keep waiting on the Zhongli. This is definitely a Zhongli make it as we go card. I will not lie. I was working on one before the card. It was just under plus 2,000. So that's where we're at for this card. Lucky Locks, how you doing? How you feeling about this card before we jump into it?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on. Always a fun group to talk about the card, whether it's UFC 304 next week or whether it's Lemos versus Jandiroba this week. Last week I gave out Abdul Razak Al Hassan on the show. I felt like the read was pretty dead on. I would make that bet at minus 145. 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. But one off is a no contest. What can you do? That's the game. I'm not going to cry and piss my pants over it. Get back on the horse this week and see what we can find here.
Yeah. No, I definitely had some hits and some misses with the dogs last week for sure. The Rosa and Johnson hits were very nice, and the Brundage get out jail free card. So overall, no complaints from me on that card last week. This card, you're probably going to hear me complaining a little bit, but we make do with what we can. You guys can help me to get the Zhongli. Hopefully, everybody in the chat did well. We got a dirty dozen here. And we're starting with Kamaru Usman's little brother, Mo Usman, taking on Thomas Jefferson Peterson here. Thomas Peterson, one of the guys who was a big LFA prospect back in the day. Then he faced a guy who could fight in Waldo Cortez Acosta. If you want to go laugh at a fight, go watch that fight from LFA. Then Thomas Peterson, he went on to face Corey Mogenberg, who, if you don't know who Corey Mogenberg is, you don't know combat sports. And I believe he's fought as low as middleweight. So, yeah, that was something else. I believe that, was a second-round fight. He fought Richard Foster and then Chandler Cole, who came in peak condition to that fight, and then lost to Jamal Pogues in his debut. The Jamal Pogues. Mo Usman, not much better in his last four. He lost to Brandon Sales, a 40-year-old with the PFL, badly in that fight. Just got dropped twice before getting the finish. He knocked out Zach Bahuga, Junior Tafa, and then, losing to Mick Parkin here. So, honestly, whoever has the plus money is who you should be considering in this situation. Mo Usman can't stop a takedown also, and Thomas Peterson usually can beat guys who can't stop a takedown. So, I would say Thomas Peterson, I guess, if you had a gun to your head and had to bet it or had a gambling problem. But if you're like touting Mo Usman as the pick, come on. Like, you've got to be kidding me. I'll take Thomas Peterson, I guess, and I'll take him by a horrible, horrible decision. Let's go with Mr. 2 Cents starting out here.
I mean, what is there to say about a shit dookie heavyweight fight like this? I mean, it's very low level. I feel like it will kind of come down to the grappling and cardio, and it feels like it feels like Peterson or pass from a betting perspective. I will be super duper fucking passing.
Yes.
But you know what, boys? I'm going to do something a little bit different here. And I've been drawing a hard line with this. I can't use the coin. It doesn't work on fucking dude fights. Well, it hadn't really been working on chick fights either, so I don't really feel like making a pick, and I'm definitely not going to be betting this. So shout out to anybody that's watching, man. Definitely smash the like button. And I'm gonna I haven't done this in a while, but I'm gonna bring out the fucking coin. It's for this fucking curtain jerker, man.
The UFC is getting diluted. The coin's getting diluted.
It is, man. It's losing value, and it just is what it is, man. The coin is not here for the coin is here for a good time, not a long time. So here we go. I guess because Mo Usman is the favorite, he will be heads. Thomas Peterson will be tails. Smash the like button for Aaron the puppy, and get ready, boys, because the coin will speak. Ooh, that was a mighty flip too. Thomas fucking Jefferson Peterson.
Thomas, choo-choo.
Yep.
Choo-choo, motherfuckers.
Thomas the tank engine, whatever adage you want there. Yeah. But yeah.
And I'm just gonna switch you right now just so we can block your avatar instead, but I'll keep track of it here. Cool. Go ahead, Lucky LFA expert, condone the pick.
Yeah, so I mean, Thomas Peterson's not great, right? He's never won a fight that's gone longer than 8.25 minutes. Had a fair amount of success in the regionals, became LFA heavyweight champ, beating Vernon Lewis, lost his second title fight to Waldo Cortez Acosta after that. And Waldo was really the only opponent of any like real substance that he had to deal with on the regionals. You know, like Vernon Lewis has some skills, kind of met. Chandler Cole on Contender Series is not really great. And he did lose his UFC debut to Jamal Pogues. And he didn't get totally steamrolled there by any means. But like what was really winning him fights on the regionals was, I feel like, not really his power or his wrestling. And he does have a good wrestling background. It was the speed. And I do think he's going to have the speed in this fight as well. I don't think Peterson, though, is really heavyweight sized in terms of his frame. I know he weighs 260 pounds. I don't think that's his optimal frame, honestly. And a lot of guys that he fought on the regionals and on Contender Series too were not real heavyweights. Like a lot of those guys were just fat guys that should be 1, 2, maybe even 3 weight classes down in some cases. Usman is built more like a real heavyweight. He's a lot longer. I just kind of think it could be tough for Peterson to wrestle Usman, and I think he is at a power disadvantage on the feet, but he is going to have the speed. So it's a tough one. I think I'm going to go on the Usman side, but like you guys said, like why the hell would you want to bet on this fight?
Yep, plus 110. So money has been steaming in on Mr. Thomas Peterson. Yeah, it's an absolute pass at this point. Minus 130 on Usman. This is, it's just a pass. So, the over 2.5 is minus 210 in this heavyweight fight. Always signs of horrible things to come. Next fight, I believe it's at 125. I don't really care what weight class it's at. Like, does anybody really? If anybody has a super strong lean on this fight, congratulations. My pick is Luana Carolina, but could she get completely held up the cage against, a vertical cage wrestler like Lucy Petalova? What up, Zach? Sure, but I feel like if Luana, makes the weight, or doesn't make the weight, who cares? Like, I feel like she's the one who's improving at this point, and like we kind of know what we have with Pudilova, and it's nothing. And Luana Carolina at least has a decent enough stand-up game. Seems like she's working on the rest of her game, which at 125 is good enough to be employed. So that's what we have here. I don't know why this line's so close. It makes me nervous, but I'd say Carolina seems like the side. Lucky.
Yeah, I agree with you. Both of these fighters really aren't that good. Carolina, I mean, I kind of have a soft spot for her. I picked her in the last 2 fights as the dog. She won both, but she's not an elite fighter, to put it gently. Same can be said about Pudilova. I really don't think of much of her fighting capacity. I think it's a pretty even fight. It's kind of a who cares kind of fight to me. I really didn't spend a ton of time looking into it. I'm going to pick Carolina. I think she was better striking. I think she has solid enough takedown defense. So I'm going to lean on that side. I'm not interested in getting involved, though.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she's probably going to make the Zhang Li in this week's card. Like, this is just, I don't know, unless 2 cents really compels me on the Lucy Pudilova side with his coin.
I as much as I was kind of like besmirching the coin earlier, I am not gonna fucking sully the coin with this. Lucy put like her best win is fucking cheesecake, dude. Like I cannot fucking even let the coin like even risk deciding fucking Lucy Pudilova. It's Luana Carolina all day. I'm kind of like 50-50 between a decision or knockout. I think she could knock out Lucy Pudilova, but it'll probably be a decision. But probably land the harder strikes. I think she is the better striker. So yeah, give me Luana here with a very, low to medium amount of confidence.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to like blow up Luana Carolina. I never, ever, ever would. But doesn't it feel like she should be more of a favorite than a slight?
I mean, she's not like I feel like she's not as bad as some people try and make her out to be. Like she's got to win.
Pudilova is useless in
like,
the second run and no better than her first run.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm done talking about this fight. Hate to say it. All right, 155. Loic Radzabanov taking on Trey Ogden in this awesome PFL fight that's in the UFC. But no, in all seriousness. Trey Ogden, do I like watching him fight? No. Do I respect him as a fighter at this point? Yeah. Like I feel like he has a huge edge in terms of IQ in this fight and in terms of how he kind of outputs his energy, everything that goes into this fight. I really do. I'm not a big like third round decision better type of guy, but I feel like that is a good bet for Ogden in this spot because like he's gonna just kind of be on his bike using that jab, which he looked frankly really good in the last fight. But I just think he's gonna use his jab, use his footwork. Even though this is a smaller octagon in the Apex, I think he's gonna make Loic think a lot in there, work a lot. By the second and third round, Loic's gonna be, I think, much more exhausted, even though he's never made like these mistakes to get submitted. I think Ogden has that level of grappling where once you're much more tired could get a submission or a decision. But I do like Ogden in this spot. And at this line, I think it's a pretty generous line. I'm shocked that he's an underdog at this point. I just think Loic can get him early. And if he doesn't, then he gets into more and more trouble as this fight goes. But maybe I'm overrating Ogden here. And I'm fine to hear otherwise. Both these guys, 34 years old at this point. So, definitely on the back end. But I think Ogden is just IQ and cardio and output gets this done, either late stoppage or decision. 2 cents.
Dude, I am like the biggest fucking Ogden fader, but I do eat quite a bit of crow. I like Loic. Would never bet him. It's a total pass for me, man. Neither one of them are super duper high level. I just think Loic's got more power. He can go to he's gone to decision against not awesome fighters, but people act like he's a complete and total fucking gas bag. And Ogden to me is not just some melt you with pressure. Like he'll pump the jab, but he's just not some deadly ass motherfucker to me. He's kind of just a decisionator. So it's not like give me Loic, but yeah, I could see Ogden winning a decision, so that's why I'm going to pass. But yeah, I'll slightly lean towards Rajabov to kind of job it out here.
All right, Lucky.
Yeah, Loic has come to the UFC from PFL. He's gone 2-1. He beat Ribovic, lost to Rembetsky, beat Al-Sawadi. And Ogden upset the apple cart against Zellhuber. I don't know. I don't really think Trey Ogden is super good. I definitely, I respect the IQ, the game planning. I know he's running his own gym. He's coaching. And I know, like you said, 2 cents, Loic is looked at as a little bit of a gasser, a little bit of untrustworthy. I just don't know how much meat is left on the bone with this Ogden price now. I mean, he was an underdog. He's all the way to evens. I just feel like Ogden has a really small amount of finishing upside in this fight. I think his chances to KO Rajabov on the feet are really small. And, Rajabov hasn't been submitted yet in his career. I don't know if Ogden's going to be the one to do that. I just think the vast majority of his win equity is embedded in a decision here. And I think, it's going to be pretty tough to wrestle Loic early. And I feel like I don't know. I just feel like Ogden is pretty liable to back up against the cage. And, he always concedes the center of the cage. It feels like he's on the outside. I think Loic comes forward, and I think he can land big uppercuts and big shots on the inside when Ogden shoots off the cage. Ogden for me is he's just too risk adverse. He just doesn't look like he really wants to be in the fight. I feel like the optics are just always bad with him. So I'm going to pick Loic. I think now that it's down to evens, Loic is the side for me.
Nice. Okay. Well, keeping me from Zach saying Ogden owes him a late sub. Keeping me from betting them separately. I'm not sure if he'll stay out of the Zhongli at this point, however, because I got to find 5 from these 12 fights, and it is not easy. Next fight, Miranda Maverick, Dion Barboza. Dion taking this fight on short notice here, and Miranda losing out on her chance to face Tracy Cortez. I would have liked Miranda Maverick in that spot personally. But this fight, I don't know. This is like not a fight I'm like completely positive that Miranda Maverick goes in there and just outclasses Dion Barboza. Barboza's like pretty legit talent out of Brazil, and she lost to Jenna Bishop back in the day, and that was not a great look there. But at the same point, I do feel like grappling wise, she's not going to go in there and be completely out of her grasp against Miranda Maverick. If anything, I think she might have the advantage in the grappling, and I don't think Miranda Maverick's stand up is this, particularly in the power range, that great. So I do think if Dion makes this more of a dogfight and kind of does end up getting on top, I think she can have some success at keeping it there. So I feel like for me, I think that Maverick's going to be in a lot of parlays this week. I think her and one other fighter, one of them is going to bust a lot of parlays, and I'm taking the dog in Barboza here if I had to. I'm not betting it. It's dog or pass for me at this price, especially plus 185. I don't agree at all. I think it's much closer than that, even on the short notice. But yeah, I'll take Barboza by decision. So lucky.
Yeah, Maverick's pretty good. She's really physically strong. She's 6-3 in the UFC, won 4 of the last 5, won half of her fights by finish. Barboza for me, I don't really think she's that good. She looks pretty good on paper. She has a high-level grappling background, judo, jiu-jitsu. She's won 4 in a row. And the losses are Jenna Bishop, who's pretty underrated, Josie Nunez, both solid opponents, has a win over Karini Silva. Just in actuality for me, she's not all that great. I think that Maverick is better than her. Now, does that mean I want to go bet Miranda Maverick? Like, obviously not. I'm not – I wasn't investigating this fight for a bet at all, right? Like, if I wasn't on the show, I'm probably not looking into this. But I think Maverick's the better striker. Grappling Barboza. She has every accreditation you could want. Maverick is also a pretty good grappler. I think she's the better athlete. Like, I don't really think Barboza has a clear grappling path to beat Maverick either. So I'm going to side with Miranda Maverick, but I'm not going to be involved in this fight financially at all.
Nor will I. 2 cents. What says you?
Oh, first of all, I say, well, this is the big show. No, shout out to Big Show and Zach Hay and the general now, Noah. I see you boys. What's going on, man? So yeah, I am financially invested in Miranda Maverick. I do think she's the better fighter. I just think on short notice, it's kind of a tough ask for Barboza. Now, like, if this was 2 years ago, I would be like, nah, dude, I cannot parlay Miranda Maverick. I kind of had my hesitations yesterday, but I do think that she's the better fighter overall. I think she has kind of turned a corner and leveled up, as they say. She does have a black belt now in the jiu-jitsu. I'm not saying that is going to make the day, but I do think her grappling has improved. And she's 27 now. She is a big, strong chick, and it could be kind of like a lame ass, kind of like lay and pray. But I do think she stays safe here, and her ground and pound is probably like the best thing about her game. Honestly, that's the thing I like the most. She doesn't always show it, but I think Miranda Maverick gets it done here. But by decision probably.
I should have said this at the top of the show, but honestly, you can make an argument for every single dog on this card. I'm not going to call you crazy. Like, I'm really not. This card, absolute met. But yeah, so I'm not at all involved, nor is anybody on this side. Minus
I don't hate the dog shot. Like Barbosa probably hits harder, and she's probably going to go for it. She's going to fight for your money early. So yeah, I think she has a chance to like club and sub Miranda early for sure.
Quick question. I'm not a big time prop person, but the under 2.5 at plus 250. Should I at all consider that?
What's the money line on Barbosa right now?
Barbosa money line plus 185.
I mean, it kind of feels like if you're invested in Barbosa and you're putting any kind of like decent amount of money, like it would probably cover.
I mean, isn't this a spot where Miranda Maverick should want to come out and make a statement to get a finish against a short notice 32-year-old Brazilian?
Like the money line is kind of decent. That's all I would say. Like the plus 185, I don't hate that.
All right, Lucky, do you have any thoughts on that under 2.5?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it's going to decision. So,
yeah.
But I mean, it is a big number, and like you said,
where there's a huge potential huge athletic skill gap. I'm hearing with Maverick, like she could come out there and just show out on Barbosa, who's not supposed to.
She could. I'm not really in the business of backing Miranda Maverick to do that ever, but she has finished off of her fight.
Then maybe Barbosa's paper fucking Brazilian jiu-jitsu shit shows up finally.
Right.
It could. Well, that's the other thing, man. Good.
I could see Maverick finishing her if Barbosa gets tired, like if she really empties the gas tank.
Short notice. You know what? I'm going to bet the plus 250 under 2.5 and hate myself. All right, we're done. I'm done with this fight. Has nothing to do with anything anybody said. And now we get to go to what has to be a retirement fight. Whoever loses this fight needs to retire immediately. Whoever wins this fight needs to retire immediately. It's Brian Kelleher and Cody Gibson in 2024. And Cody Gibson is a massive favorite, like almost a minus 200 favorite. If you didn't bet Kelleher at plus 165, you're just not cool. Like I get it. Kelleher had I don't know what happened in his last fight. His last three have been terrible, but there's steps down in competition. And Cody Gibson, this is a get right spot for Kelleher before he gets his highlight reel at the next Apex. I guess Kelleher. I didn't bet it. I'm just kidding. But Kelleher, I guess is the side. But why is Gibson minus 200? 2 cents. I know where you stand on this, but go ahead.
Yeah, dude, you want to talk about immediate buyer's remorse. I bet fucking Boom Kelleher at plus 185. I'm pretty sure the line drop, which is not a good sign historically for me. I am Mr. Reverse CLV. I'm the Mr. Reverse CLV king. So things are not trending in the right direction, as they say. But yeah, I think just from a stylistic breakdown, I think Kelleher is a slightly better wrestler. I know Gibson's got, wrestling credentials, but I think Kelleher is a slightly better wrestler. I think he has a little more pop in his punch. Of course, the neck surgery thing is the biggest red flag, and I completely understand that. A smart man probably passes here. I would not, consider myself that at all times. So this could be a teaching moment here. But yeah, give me Boom Kelleher. I think it's just kind of a pick 'em in my head. So it's, I think he's the superior jobber, got better wins and losses. So I think he's better on paper and stylistically. I think he's just a little bit more dangerous. And Cody Gibson's been fucking guillotined 3 times. So let's make it number 4. Boom Kelleher by guillotine. Let's go.
I feel like if you can bet that method, that's not a bad shot at all. Lucky, are you go ahead and convince us why this is the resurgence of Cody Gibson?
Yeah, 10 units. Cody No, I'm just kidding. This fight blows, right? These two guys are both past it. And then somehow in this fight, there's a side that is minus 200. And I have no idea how that materialized. Why would you ever bet Cody Gibson minus 200 here? This guy's 1 in 5.
Must be very sick. He must be very sick.
I think at one point earlier in the week, Cody Gibson was like the biggest favorite on the card before like the line started moving. But like he's 1-5 in the UFC. His only win is Johnny Bedford, stud in BKFC. Was not that great in the UFC, and that was 10 years ago. And listen, I get Kelleher. Kelleher's not good either, but like he's a 500 UFC fighter. He spent more time in the UFC. He's faced way better guys. He's at least has more than one win, right? He has 8 wins. And he lost to Cheeto Vera, Montel Jackson, John Lineker, Cody Stamen, Ricky Simone, Umar Nurmagomedov, Mario Batista, and Cody Garbrandt. He's beaten Henan Barrow. He beat Julio Arce twice. He beat Hunter Azure. Like I said, he's not good, but like how the hell do you line these guys up next to each other and go, yeah, Gibson minus 200 here. So I think Kelleher's the side, but like I'm not betting it because what? Like if I think the fight could look close to pick him and Kelleher's plus 165, whatever he is, I have to bet it, right? Actually, no. Because my confidence interval is extremely low due to the fact that both of them are kind of washed and both of them were not really particularly good in the first place. But to pick a side, I mean, I think it has to be Brian Kelleher.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I'm not sure what else there is to say about this fight. It's currently not the Zhang Li. I have 4 spots I feel good about in my Zhang Li right now, so we'll see if I can figure out the 5th, which I will figure it out. But next fight, I think one of the better fights on the card, which kind of says how good this card really is. Haider Emil taking on Zhang Yong Lee, the Korean Tiger, made his move over to fight ready. 28 years old, definitely has all the credentials, looks the part. Coming off of a decent win over Blake Builder. Looks very good in the stand-up portion, especially when he's able to kind of keep his distance and kind of stay clean. I think he's a cleaner striker of the two of these guys for sure. And definitely could look like a clinic if he's able to keep it clean. I think that where Zhang has struggled over and over again is when kind of he's crowded, the length gets affected more and more. He's looked better at countering that as he's gotten more into his career, though. So I think he knows that's kind of how fighters are going to approach him over and over again. It's not going to be any secret here, and we'll just do it. There he is. And it's not going to be any secret here when with regards to what Haider's going to do. I do think Haider's able to possibly pull off that game plan more than Builder, but Haider has a similar problem. He's 34 years old at this point. I'm a little concerned. I do think Zhang is continuing to kind of rise up. This is one for me that I was very, very close to betting at one point, and I've decided to back off of. I still am going to go with Haider. I'm going to go with Haider by split. But I think this is going to be a very, very close fight. And I definitely do see a kind of a realm where Zhang just kind of puts on a clinic where he's able to stuff some takedowns. He's looked very good defensively. He's looked better at using kind of his weapons in close as well, it seems. And I could definitely see Zhang kind of taking this one and running away with it. But I'm going to go with Haider by split. I just kind of got a feeling he puts together the right game plan here that the last few have almost put together against Zhang, but I haven't pulled it through. But not super confident as I'm getting closer to the fight card here with this one. 2 cents, you there?
I am here, brother. And
Okay.
I am on Haider Emil as well. Shout out to my dude Big Show. I believe he has him in his parlay. I think he fucking knocks him out, man. Just the way that Lee fights, he's a good striker, but man, like Emil likes to fucking he likes to go round and round with you too. He will do that fucking man dance with you. And I think they do the man dance, and I think they meet in the center of the octagon, and I think Emil fucking hits a little bit harder, and yeah, I think he's gonna knock him the fuck out. But yeah, it's something that I'm with you. Like I almost bet it, and then I fucking didn't. But yeah, give me Haider Emil. I'll probably pick him in Typology and the.
It's been one of the biggest line movements of the week for sure.
Yeah, and he's a popular underdog, so I'm like, fuck, come on, Emil, get it done for the boys. So yeah, give me Emil here.
Yeah, Lucky. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, like maybe I'm insane for thinking this, but I genuinely think both of these guys are actually pretty good. And I never thought I'd be saying that about Haider Emil, having watched them back in the day. But he just continues to win, and I think at 34 at featherweight, it won't be long before I get on the show again and say, yeah, he's done, it's over. But right now I got to give the guys flowers. We've seen him push through exhaustion, push through damage, keep finding ways to win. And Lee as well. I think people kind of soured on him after the split decision win against Yi Jia, but I'm going to give him some grace. Chalk that one up to some debut jitters. I think he's actually quite good as well, and we did see him discounted at the betting window after the debut result, and got a good win over Blake Builder. Lee's the younger man, bigger man. I think he's the more technical of the two. I expect this fight to be standing. I see Lee being the more surgical, with the Mill probably being the more enthusiastic aggressor. I'm going to pick Lee, but I do think it could be a close fight. I'm not going arse over tea kettle to play minus 200, or it might be wider than that now. I'm not sure.
No, it's right.
But I'm going to pick Lee. What is it at?
You're right at minus 200, so plus 160.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not enthusiastic about that line. I think it could play out close, but I'm gonna pick Jung Young Lee to win.
Yep, fair enough. And I really want to put Hyder into the Zhang Li and go against Zhang Li in the Zhang Li, but I'm gonna not tempt fate as of now. But I still need that fifth partner for that Zhang Li. So, all right, we're moving on to the main card, and starting out with a fight which I really thought at first, like before looking into it, Bill Algeo and Duo Choi, I said, "Oh, Bill Algeo's winning this fight for sure. He's just more in the rhythm. He's been fighting more regularly lately. Like Duho Choi, is coming off of a draw against Kyle Nelson. He hasn't won a fight in 8 years. Like." Blah, 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 whatever. But I went back and watched the Kyle Nelson fight. That fight was bullshit. That should have been a win for Duho Choi. I don't care what anybody says. So, and, with Bill Algeo, I just think that he sometimes kind of fights like that big tough guy. And I do think in a spot like this, I could see Duho finding Bill Algeo's chin and knocking him out. And that's what I'm going with in this spot. This is my dog-heavy card of the summer. Duho Choi, second round TKO for me. I think Bill Algeo is another one of those traps in parlays for people this weekend. The Bill Algeo Miranda Maverick parlay is out there for like plus 130 or something, and some sick ass is doing that right now. But give me Duho Choi, second round TKO. I do think he's still got the spark in him, and he looks like he's in very good shape, and I don't care if he hasn't won in 8 years. He can win against Bill Algeo. Bill Algeo is not that guy. Lucky. Am I crazy?
No, I think this is a pretty close fight, actually. Choi 1-3-1 in his last 5, and I know he was doing that mandatory military service probably, so it's not like he was sitting on the couch during the time off. But his last win was legitimately 8 years ago officially. Then he lost 3 times in a row. Returned against Kyle Nelson last year after a hiatus and went to a draw, but he won, but there was a point deduction, so it ended up being a draw. But he beat Kyle Nelson, and that's a better result against Kyle Nelson than Bill Algeo managed 3 months ago when he got stopped. Not the best stoppage I've ever seen, but I had no money there, so I didn't really care that much. Nelson was probably winning the short amount of that fight that was. And usually I'm always saying I don't like guys coming back quick after a KO, but Algeo was stopped standing. It wasn't like he got face planted or dropped. There was no knockdown. The strikes were pretty much dead even on the stats. It was 4 minutes of fighting. So I don't really get bothered by the presence of that result from a physical health standpoint. Whatever you want to think about being in a position where someone is stopping a fight where you're fighting Kyle Nelson after 4 minutes, that's a completely different story there. So I do think that Algeo is going to have the edge in volume here. Choi has the much better power, though. I think he's better at finding those precise shots, through the fog of war. Algeo, I'll give the grappling to. I think on the feet, though, it's a very competitive fight. I think going 3 rounds, probably I'll favor Algeo slightly to win on volume, but there's always that worry that Choi could stop him here on the ground. I think Algeo's a little better there. So I'm going to pick Bill Algeo, but I really don't think it's a slam dunk. I think the line is wide. I would definitely line this one. Algeo maybe minus 120-ish, something like that.
Yeah,
I think Choi has a very legitimate chance to land a big shot here and to win big moments.
yeah, I agree. 2 cents. What's your thoughts on this one?
There is not a fight that I am less interested in than this one. It's a complete and total pass for me. I am slightly leaning Algio, but with such little conviction, man. Like, I can see him maybe being like gun shy from that stoppage. Like, I'm not going to say it was like a bogus stoppage, but it was a little bit early. But to Lucky's point, like, almost like a probably a good thing, like probably good, especially with the quick turnaround. But yeah, give me Algio. I could maybe see him. Shout out to Moyes. He always says the fish poles. I could see him maybe fish polling Duho Choi. But likely, I'm going to say Bill Algio decision. I'm going to say he's a little more gun shy, but he does still stick to the volume game plan and avoid getting being too much of a tough guy and just kind of sticking moving and winning a fucking boring split or something.
I did not consider that Algio is taller, so foolish pick by me.
There you go. That's the only metric you need.
Yeah, my bad. Plus 140 to Mr. Choi, minus 170 to Algio. Moving on to the next fight, 125. Pretty good fight, one of the better fights on the card, to be honest with you. I think this will be a good scrap for however long it lasts. Cody Durden versus kind of his Brazilian doppelganger in Bruno Silva. These guys pretty much look like they could be related. It's going to be Cody Durden going out and trying to be a wrestling rat. And I honestly think that, Durden just, if he does try to do that, I do think that he's going to kind of struggle to keep that game plan throughout the 3 rounds. And I do think Bruno has a significant speed, power, striking advantage. And I do think that he's faced just an overall much better level of competition here. I do like Bruno Silva in this spot. I think he's got the finishing upside of the two of these guys and probably going to a decision. I like Bruno Silva to get it done by decision. I just think this is a fight where I can't trust Cody to do what he needs to do to win this fight. I just don't trust him. So 2 cents.
Well, did you say that Bruno Silva has fought the better level of competition?
In my opinion, yeah.
I completely disagree with that. I think this is a fucking Cody Durden rolls here. I think he's the better fighter. I think he's the better wrestler. I think Bruno maybe hits harder, and he's a good striker, but I think Durden is a good striker too. I think this is a Cody Durden spot. I think, I could totally see him being a rat here, but I think Silva, man, like, he got fucking clubbed and subbed by that jobber Khalid Taha. Like,
won all of the sauce in the world.
But that's his like only win. Like, his wins are they're just not good. And like, Durden is better than Nam and Rodriguez, and certainly better. Like Bruno had to drop JP Bays 3 times. Like, Durden sat him down once, and then that was it. I think Durden's striking is underrated, and I just think he's a better fighter overall. Fought the better level of competition, in my opinion. And I think he gets it done pretty easily here.
I really do think Bruno's fought the better. He might have lost all that great competition, but I think he's fought the better level.
Dude, that win over Charles Johnson, and like, that's not aging good. Okay.
Now I've known who Charles Johnson's good. That's fine with me. Let's talk about Jimmy. Like, either way, Lucky. I get it's a close fight. Lucky.
Yeah, Cody Durden, he's a guy kind of on the cusp, like on the bubble of being a real player at 125. I think he's shown he's above the level of the guys that are kind of like, outside the top 20. I think he's sitting in that in-between area where I don't think he could have a ton of success in the top 10, but I think he is probably a legit top 15-ish guy. Bruno Silva is a fighter that I have liked in the past. I'd like to see a lot more activity out of him. He was on Ultimate Fighter Brazil in 2015, went back to the regionals, had a draw with Casey Kenny on LFA. Got to the UFC in 2019. He got finished by Khalid Taha. Obviously, that was turned into a no contest due to the mass amount of PEDs that Khalid Taha was on. He lost to Dvorak and Ulanbekov. Won 3 in a row against, I don't think super high-level competition. Tyson Nam, probably his best win. Bruno has good skills. The problem with him for me is, he's active, and then has a 2-year hiatus before the Tyson Nam fight. And, he wins that, then goes to fight Durden a few months after, and Durden doesn't get medically cleared, right? There's nothing that Silva can do there. But then, like, why are we not seeing you again for another year? Durden fought after that, like 3 months after that, and he was booked for a fight a month ago. I'm just not sure what Silva, has been doing, because he's 34 years old at flyweight all of a sudden. And like, he was 31 on a 2-fight win streak. And yeah, he came back and extended it to 3 last year. But it's like, I think his momentum is being adversely affected by these layoffs he's taking. Durden, on the other hand, gets there as often as he can. He's largely having a lot of success, 5-3-1 in the promotion. I'm really not sure there's a massive skill gap anywhere in this matchup, but Durden, for me, is imparting upon me the image of a guy who's a little more dedicated, a little more locked in. I think small favorite price kind of makes sense for Durden, so that's the direction I'm leaning in. But, Bruno Silva in a vacuum has, he's good. I like him. I've liked him in the past. I'm not going to, get involved on either side here, but I think Durden small favorite makes sense.
Fair enough. Bruno Silva Island for me, and I'm going to force him into Zhongli for you guys, which I know Toussaint loves. So
I do genuinely love that. Like, it gives me a great hedge spot. So
yeah, I'm happy to help. So all right, fourth from the top, we've got Kurt Holobaugh. Fourth from the top. Sure, Cody Gibson on here, Kurt Holobaugh, bring them all back. Kyan Krzyzewski taking it on here on a full camp after his short notice. Weird KO against Elvis Brenner, which I've watched over and over again. I don't really understand what happened there, but either way, he just got absolutely stung with a shot that, I do think Kurt Holobaugh could do that, sure, but I think this is a kind of get right setup spot for Krzyzewski, but he's also 33 years old. Like, neither one of these guys are going to be around for a long time. Krzyzewski's best win is Adriano Martins, the guy who beat Islam Makhachev, I guess. Like that, like, this is what we're dealing with here. I think that, like, it's tempting for me to take another dog here, which I think this would be like my 4th or 5th straight dog. I just don't see why not. I think Kurt can pressure and tire out Krzyzewski and either get the finish or get a decision here. So I gotta go Kurt Holobaugh here, and I think he, honestly, I can't trust the chin of Kyan after that last fight. That was such a, like, frightening, like, it looks like you have an off button that the highest level is going to be able to hit, and I guess Kurt Holobaugh is that. So give me Kurt, give me him by KO. I don't know, man, what's going on anymore. Lucky, help me.
Yeah, so Holobaugh is, he's really getting up there in age now at almost 38. I don't love that at 155. He's been given a new lease on his UFC career after coming through the Ultimate Fighter veterans versus prospects. And, basically what that season was a bunch of, like, decent vets versus absolute, more or less, bum prospects. I mean, I think they really blew it with that season, especially with having McGregor on as one of the coaches. The guys that they got on this season are much better than the prospects that they had on that one. I don't know why they decided to go with the cast that they did that year. But Holobaugh went, his last UFC stint went pretty much as badly as it possibly could have. He went 0-4. I mean, 0-3, really. He was 0-1 on, like, his OG run after he had been in Strikeforce, like, way back in the day. But, he put his time in on the regionals and then got back in, lost to Barcelos, Burgos, and Moises, went back to the regionals again. Got 2 finishes, finished all of his fights in the tough house, and then finished Austin Hubbard in the finale. So his last fight was a loss to Trey Ogden. I talked about him earlier. I don't think that's a great look. I'm not high on Holobaugh at all, but you want to know who else I am not high on at all is Kyan Krzyzewski, man. And 15-2 on paper, before I looked into this at all, I'm like, all right, I'll probably pick him here. Should be a little routine blab session on Aaron's show. I'll drum up a couple talking points, but I'm really not seeing it, man. Like, he beat 37-year-old Adriano Martins. He beat Junior Luis on LFA. He's kind of meh. Beat some guys on Jungle Fights. He was lightweight champ there. Beats Dylan Montello on Contender Series. I don't know. Like, I'm just not seeing that thing from him. Elvis Brenner KOs him in 1. I think this is a close fight with Holobaugh, man. Holobaugh's not going to show this guy any respect. He's coming out to kill. I think he's going to have the opportunity to do that. Krzyzewski is 33, and he kind of is what he is at this point. Like, he's a finished product, and the product that I'm seeing is just not good enough for me to want to bet him at chalk against Kurt Hallebut, And Kurt Hallebut, like, is not a guy that I'm bullish on, that I think, has a bright future, but Krzyzewski is all of those things as well. And Hallebut, believe it or not, opened on BetOnline at -225. So, whether you like Kynan or not, I don't know how much value there is now after a line move of that size. I'm kind of thinking this fight could look pick'em. So I'm looking at the Hallebut line here, man. It's really hard for me to want to get beyond him with money at his age, at this weight class. But, I'm taking a serious look at it here. So I think Hallebut's the side too.
I absolutely agree. And I just think that with these lower level cards where you're not going to have a ton of attention on them, you get some of these lines where it's like the Duho Choi line, I think, is an example of, he had a draw against Kyle Nelson last time. How good could Duho Choi be? He hasn't won in 8 years. He's got to be the underdog. And again, with Krzyzewski here, it's 15-2, Jungle Fights champion. It was a short notice debut. He's going to come in much better now, but he also won on the Contender Series and then wasn't taking a fight. Kind of what you were talking about with Bruno Silva. Again, it's like, what are you doing? You're 33 years old. Like, you've got a contract and you're not seeming to want to fight. So, 2 cents. What do you think of this one?
Well, it's really fucked up that we're all kind of on Kurt Hallebut. I never thought I'd, say that or hear that in the world, but that's the world we're living in 2024.
Yeah.
Give me fucking Hallebut here. I'm not betting it, but yeah, all the reasons you said, I think his cardio is better. Interesting what Jimmy said about all them from the same season or whatever, or no, excuse me, Noah. Yeah, it's weird. Like, they do seem to kind of have like themed
Unfortunately,
cars.
that is a horrible trio. Like, I can't think of a worse trio of whites.
What a nightmare. That's a nightmare blend.
That's a white mare right there.
But yeah, give me Hallebut to win a greasy one. I don't think he necessarily knocks him out, but I think he might like buzz him, kind of steal the rounds and win a split.
After that knockout that Krzyzewski had or received against Brenner, I get Brenner's good, but it's one of those where it's like he might always have that off switch where if you put enough pressure on, you'll find it. And even in Hallebut's last fight against Ogden, he was putting on a lot of pressure. It was those really well-timed takedowns that got him out of more potential.
Yeah, and the other dude that knocked Kynan out was not fucking good. So Cayenne, we'll say. Noah, you want to go on the inside the distance with me on Kurt Hallebut? Let's go. Pressure cooking. Let's go.
Yeah, I think if he wins, he's knocking him out. So
yeah, he's very aggressive. He's going to be killed, and I don't think that Cayenne Pepper's earned that yet. So let's go, Kurt. Are you going to be in the Zhang Li? You might be the 5th member. Next fight here. I hope this is a firefight. I hope it's exciting. I think it's going to be Steve Garcia, Sungwoo Choi. I think these guys are going to go in there, throw down, and keep throwing down until someone goes down. I think that Choi is a slightly more well-rounded fighter in the BMF of the two of these guys, better mixed martial artists, if you will. I think Steve Garcia is going to go in there and do Steve Garcia things and just try to make this an absolute war. It's worked out in his last 3 since the Maheshate counter, but it's Steve Garcia has a special place in my heart because he exposed Melky Costa. Anybody who exposes that bum who should not be here, shouldn't have been an LFA champion.
I've never heard such vitriol towards Melky Costa. This is beautiful.
Well, Lucky knows exactly why. Lucky will support me in that. Anybody who is a real LFA stan knows Melky Costa's bullshit. And so does Steve Garcia. We cashed hard on him last time. It's hard for me to separate from that because, frankly, like Sungwoo Choi, like kind of did what he had to against Jarno Aarons, but like wasn't really blowing my socks off in that one. Got caught badly with an uppercut in that one, that if Steve Garcia catches him with that uppercut, he doesn't just lay on top of him and cuddle him for the next 2 minutes to let him recover. He pressures him and puts him away. I think Steve Garcia pops Choi and puts him away somewhere in this fight. First or second round KO for Steve. Go watch the Monkey Costa KO again, everybody, because it's a beautiful sight. And we'll get to Lucky in a second, and if he supports me in my Monkey Costa hate. But 2 cents, what's your thoughts on this barn burner of a co-main event?
You know what you are, Aaron? You're a vitiligist. No, but yeah, I'm with you, dude. Give me Steve KO. Give me Steve Garcia by KO.
Steve KO is a great nickname.
Steve KO. I don't know what that mini stroke sentence was, but yeah, give me Steve Garcia by KO, first or second round. I'm with you.
Yeah, Steve KO. Lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a little higher on Steve Garcia than a lot of people are. I think that, the glass cannon allegations hold a little bit of water, but also a little bit unfair. And obviously, he doesn't have a rock chin, but I don't think it's a guy where it's like, oh, if he gets hit once, like he's dead. And the guy has 20 fights. He's lost by KO only one time. Has he been rocked and dropped? Oh yeah, so has Choi though. And Garcia's own power is immense at the weight class. Every UFC win he's gotten has been by knockout. 12 out of 15 total have come that way. He's knocked out his opponent in all 3 of his last fights. I think Steve Garcia is actually pretty good. He knocked out 4 guys in the UFC. He knocked out Chepi Mariscal in the regionals, who's 3-0 in the UFC now. And like him or not, his results are nothing to scoff at. And Choi, on the other hand, has not had an easy strength of schedule in the UFC. He does have a losing record in the promotion. Has some decent wins, though. Yusuf Salal, that's aging pretty well. Julian Erosa, that's aging pretty well. And he snapped a 3-fight losing skid last time out against Jarno Aarons, who I think is a decent fighter. He pulled out of his scheduled bout with Shahryar in April. I think he's a tough task in front of him, Steve Garcia. I feel like I'm kind of out on Choi at this point. He's had 9 fights in the UFC to really get something going. He had a good smattering of results in the middle, but, we're here after 9 fights and he's at 4-5. And you hear people chalk it up to, oh, he's getting tough matchups, this and that. But it's been 5 years. It's been 9 fights. Does anybody think this guy is like getting in the rankings? Are people really buying this guy's stock right now? And sometimes even if the matchups are tough, the fact can remain that, they're just not that good, if the results just continue to not be there. So I kind of think that's the case here. I think Garcia is a little bit underrated right now. I think that offensively, Garcia is not as polished. I think he might be a little bit more effective with the striking, but, Choi has power. And defensively, Garcia, he leaves a bit to be desired. He can be hit clean. And I think that's kind of the crux of the issue with people saying he's super chinny. I'm not so sure that it's his chin more so as he gets hit flush a lot more than he should. And, I acknowledge that either way, whether you think he's chinny, whether you think he just has bad defense or both, that is cause for concern against Choi. But I think it's the exact same thing on the other side. And I think that if one of these guys is going to work in the grappling, I think it's probably going to be Steve. And another thing is I think Choi has just looked a little bit timid lately, whereas Garcia is brimming with confidence. I think Choi is going to be a little cautious. I think he's going to be like, let's not get, wild too quickly. And I think Garcia is coming out on demon time. So, Choi can land that left hook and he's going to get a chance to do it. Garcia's got some combos that are money for him too, and he's going to get the chance to do that as well. So I've seen some respect on the Choi side here. People saying they think it's 50-50. Choi can, he's more polished, this and that. I get it. I respect the take. I just disagree. I like Steve Garcia here, and I did bet him at -138.
Nicely done. It is at -150 at the moment. Yeah, Trezano also knocking out Choi. That's a good point as well. Yeah, Steve KO for me as well. The under 1.5 at -180. So they're expecting, violence in this one. Co-main event and main event. I don't have a thing of action on these ones, and I'm not going to have a thing of action on either one of these fights anytime soon. Brad Tavares and Jun Young Park. This is just a whole hell of a lot of I want to stay away from this fight. With Brad Tavares, his 1 win in his last 4 is Chris Weidman getting knocked out pretty badly in the 2 of the 3, and the one he didn't get knocked out in was Duplessis, where he obviously nothing went too well in that one. With Jun Young Park losing a split to Muniz, but overall looking okay. Just sometimes the decision making not where I'd like it to be, but I feel like Jun Young Park has to be able to kind of rock Tavares, get this fight to where he needs to, and maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a decision win for Park. It's just not a fight where I trust Park very much. I just trust Tavares less. So it's a fade on Tavares. Yeah, sorry. No Lou, no views indeed. Stubborn Mick. But yeah, I'll take Park, but this is a whole hell of a lot of no confidence in this one. Lucky, any thoughts on this one?
I'm pretty much in agreement with you here. I think Tavares is a little bit past it at this point. His only win in the past 2 years was a 39-year-old Weidman, who he's back in the win column. So geez, maybe it's a better win than we think. But his last 2 losses, he was knocked out in both. He's 36. I'm not sure how much meat is left on the bone with Tavares now. Park is a very solid fighter. I think there's a lot to like about him. Lost a split decision to Andre Muniz last time, and Muniz, I guess, sucks according to everybody else these days, but I don't think he sucks. I think he's pretty good. I think he's a tricky matchup stylistically for some guys. And, prior to that loss, Park had won 4 fights in a row, 3 of them via submission. I just think Park has a lot more to offer you at this stanza. He's younger. He gets more volume out there. I think he's the better grappler. I'm probably just kind of out of the Brad Tavares business against top 20 to 25-ish guys now, I think. So I'm going to pick Park. I have no action here, though.
Yep, I see a lot of Park KO love here in the chat. Good for you guys. 2 cents. Are you on the Park KO or are you on the 60% Tavares side?
I am definitely not on the Brad Tavares side. I am on the Jun Young Park side. He's anchoring the pub parlay for me this week and the rest of the boys. So yeah, definitely let's fucking go Jun Young Park. I think I just don't see Tavares knocking him out, and I kind of think that's his path. I think Tavares has good grappling or good takedown defense on paper, but Rodriguez took him down twice and fucking smashed him. I could see Jun Young Park doing the same thing. I could see a GMP TKO. So from that angle, yes, I can see the I don't think he's gonna knock him out standing, although he does have a good jab, and Tavares has been susceptible to that. So yeah, give me Jun Young Park here. Like I said, I'm invested in him, so definitely want him and need him to come through, but I think he does. I think like what Lucky said, Tavares a little bit long in the tooth, as they say, especially just the mileage on the tank. And yeah, I think Park is just going to kind of have his way with the grappling, mix it up, and maybe smash him on the ground. We'll see.
Yep. All right. Fair enough. You might have talked me into putting him into the 5th for the Zhongli, to be honest with you. So maybe a little bit of action there. But I promise you no action on this main event. Amanda Lemos versus, and by the way, Brad Tavares at a minus 160 right now. Brad Tavares at plus 135, minus 160 to the Park side. Main event time, Lemos and Virna Jandiroba here. 5 rounds of these two. With Amanda Lemos, she obviously has a huge stand-up advantage. Everybody does against Virna. What happened against Brother Jessica is always going to be a concern of mine. How she got submitted in that fight, that was beyond a novice level of jiu-jitsu, where with someone like Jandiroba, she submitted 13 women at this point. She definitely has a squeeze on her. I could definitely see her submitting Amanda Lemos. I also could see her starting to kind of get very, very tired and reach for takedowns very sloppily and start to get beat up on the feet before getting knocked out by Amanda Lemos. I could also see this being a terrible 5-round women's decision, like most low-level women who get into 5 rounds ends up being, because they just want to survive 25 minutes. So either way, Lemos should decide, I guess. I don't know why she's the underdog. So I'm still not betting it. 2 cents.
Vina Jandiroba is a carrot. Vina Jandiroba is a turtly terp. Yeah, Rob Schneider, I think she is the better grappler, I guess. But yeah, Amanda Lemos, much better striker, much more dangerous on the feet. And I think it's one of the scenarios that you laid out. Like, I think Terp to Turtley Terp kind of reaches for some takedowns after she gets tired. And I think, catches a knee, maybe eats a combo against the cage and gets TKO'd. So give me, it's one of those, like, as far as the line, I feel like, yeah, it probably should be one of them, like, slightly favored, but I feel like it should have been, like, I feel like Lemo should have been the one slightly favored. I think she's more dangerous, and I think she does knock the carrot out.
Yeah, let's hope so. 5 rounds of these two would be awesome. If you're watching by this point of the night, I really feel bad for you. I'll be honest. Lucky Locks.
Yeah, both these ladies are really getting up there in age for the strawweight division. I feel like it's kind of a binary matchup between a striker in Lemos and a grappler in Virna. Jandiroba is a good fighter who doesn't get a ton of respect. I picked her as a dog to Marina. I picked her as a dog to Lupita. Now she's finally got a minus next to her price in this fight. People still aren't picking her. And I think it's pretty easy to understand why. I mean, Lemos is dynamic. She's athletic. She's shown great finishing upside in the UFC. And optically, it just looks like she would win in a fist fight if these two ladies stood next to each other and no other information was provided. She occupies a higher position in the mind of the consumer than Virna does. I think both these women are high level at the weight class. Lemos is the better striker, clearly. Virna is pretty solid defensively in the striking. She's never been finished, never been knocked down. She's a high-level jiu-jitsu player. I think she'll have the advantage there, obviously. I think the fact that, this fight is scheduled for 5 rounds, I'm not really sure who that helps more. Lemos usually discharges a lot of output earlier in fights, tends to look a lot better in rounds 1 and 2 than the third, which isn't to say she's never had success there. She's won decisions. She has a finish in the third round. But there's definitely fights where she looks like the best of her abilities were exhausted through the first 10 minutes. Virna, though, also gets really tired in her fights. So I don't know. I can't decide if I'm going to see Virna getting too tired to shoot a takedown and get pieced up late, or if I'm going to see Lemos too tired to defend a takedown and get taken down late. This fight is just, I'm really not interested in betting it. Virna grappling approach, I think, can be successful here. I think there is a pretty decent gap in the grappling. So, I'll pick Virna, but I'm not really looking to be involved in this fight, needless to say.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be watching by this point in the night. I'll be honest with you. There's just no way, unless my night's been horrible. 2 cents. I root for you on the stream because this being the main event is torture.
Yeah. It's going to take some good chronic, and maybe I go back to. I've been swearing off cold brew, but maybe it's cold brew time.
Been swearing off 2 cents, bringing out the cold brew for the Apex card. That's where we're at. All right, we're gonna go around, give our final thoughts. The Zhongli, I've been twisting and turning, and I've ended up coming to a plus 2,033 Zhongli parlay. And it is what it is. I put 25 down on it myself, but you can do whatever you'd like on this one. But Luana Carolina starts it off, and then we have a long break until Bruno Silva, Kurt Hullable, and then Steve Garcia, Young Park finishing it off for a plus 2033 parlay there. Got just the 2 slight dogs, but all the odds relatively close on this card. So obviously the Zhongli was going to be large. But again, we've got Carolina, we've got Silva, we've got Halabala, we've got Park, and we've got Garcia. So if you're tailing, go ahead. If not, that's all good. But honestly, really good show today. I want to appreciate Lucky and 2 cents. Lucky, any thoughts, any bets you have that have stood out for this card? Appreciate you making the time as always, man.
Of course, I appreciate you having me on. Always fun to chop it up with you guys. I'll give out a bet. There's an Octagon show this week, and there's a KSW show this week. I have a parlay between the both of them. It's both the guys in the main event. So I have Ronald Paradiser against Daniel Torres, and Torres is pretty good. I've backed him in the past. He's actually fought on KSW a lot in the past. But Ronald Paradiser, they're in Slovakia, open air stadium. I feel like he's kind of the focal point of this card since the main event between Felipe Lima and Magard ended up falling out since Lima went to the UFC. So I like Paradiser to win that one in the main event, and I also like Pavel Pavlak to win in the main event on KSW. He's fought Damian Janikowski before. He won. They're both about the same age. I just think that Pavlak is a better fighter than him. So I have those guys together for plus 122. UFC, I have Steve Garcia minus 138 that I mentioned. I'm not sure if I mentioned I'm involved on Loic Rajabov as well at Pick'em. So both of those are straight. So that's what I have so far. I'm going to be taking a look at Holloway. I never thought I'd be doing that, but I'll be taking a serious look at him as the week goes on. But that's all I have for now. Thank you very much for having me on. Great to chop it up with you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it as always. And everybody in the chat, you are in on the best panel for any UFC breakdown show. I will put us up against anybody out there, especially lucky. Everybody is actually the lucky ones in the chat here because you get the gold of this man who, if you know, and if you don't, that's your loss. 2 cents. You're also pretty good, but more people at least know who you are out there. Any thoughts? Go over the pub parlays for me, if you will. And thank you as always for making it on the show.
Nah, man, thank you. And I will definitely echo what you said about this being a blessing, getting the weekly Lucky Locks, appearances. It's awesome.
We'll say it because he won't.
Yeah, of course, man. But yeah, shout out to both you guys. Thank you for having me. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure y'all smash the like button for Aaron. I'm keeping it pretty light. I only have a few bets. The pub parlay for me is Maverick, Jun Young Park. Everyone agreed on that. And then Durden is my leg. I bet Kelleher at plus 185. God, please let the reverse CLV King get Uno reversed here and let me have beat the line movement and let it pay out. One time, dude. That's all I'm asking for. And then I'm tailing the Zhang Li faithfully as I'm one to do. So let's fucking go on that. But yeah, man, thanks again and best of luck, boys. Let's go.
Yep. And that's gonna do it. This show doesn't deserve more than an hour broken down on it, frankly. So we're doing you a favor. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week. I believe it is UFC 304. So we will be back next week. We'll have 4 people on the panel. I don't know who the 4th will be, but there will be a 4th here. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Appreciate the support. Shout out to General. Shout out to Zach, Justin, Big Show, Bo, Kelly, Mountain Bets making the appearance because Mountain Bets has been around forever. He's like the Rusty Tarkenton of the community. He knows about Lucky. The ones who know. Good luck this weekend, everybody. Peace out. Appreciate the support.